Hello, everybody, and welcome to Valley Life. I'm Rich Krebs, and this next segment is going to be fabulous for you because it will be shocking. Mr. Larry McCullum, how are you, sir?
Hey, Rich. Good to see you.
It's good to see the Voltage Man. And part of the process, what you do, one, you walk into people's homes and say, look, there's a lot of things in here that aren't so safe.
Unfortunately.
Two, you fix them. And that's the whole thing. When they call you, you can come in and handle a lot of the problems and issues that arise with people and electricity.
Yes, I can do that. One of my biggest questions is, why do my breakers keep popping? And we're going to talk about that today, about why breakers trip.
All right. Now, that happens to me a lot, too. And I go out and I've got to flip it, but I never really get to the root of the problem. Or maybe I've got too much stuff plugged into one of those strip outlets, but there's a couple other reasons why that could be happening. So give me kind of a rundown of the main things you see.
Well, the main thing that I see is obviously overloading the breakers, putting too much amperage in on a 15 amp circuit, usually in the bathrooms with hair dryers.
Got it. And watts, volts, amps, to me, you're speaking Greek, so there's a big difference as to how all that works.
What we're talking about is amperage, and that is the amount of electricity that will actually work the product that you're plugging in. So when you have a higher number of wattage, it's going to exceed the amperage. So let's say every 100 watts is 1 amp. Most of your circuits are like 15 amps to 20 amps. So if we got 15 amps and we have a 1500 watt appliance, we're almost at the peak at that particular outlet. So what we do is we have somebody plug in more appliances at the same time, and it trips the breaker.
Beautiful. Now, in the fashion of Mythbusters, you've set up a great experiment here for me, and I hope that that's not a poor attempt at a bobblehead for me, because if so, it might actually look more like me than I want it to. But
that's Larry the Bowler.
Okay. So if someone has a frayed wire, and we see this all the time with pets, if something's not plugged in, the pets will chew through the wire sometimes. You get two exposed wires. Well, when they go flip a switch, people don't realize what can happen.
Exactly. Fire, damage, and you won't realize it because wires heat up, they get warm, and all of a sudden, bam, spark ignites, and if it's not taken care of right away, it can burn a lot of stuff.
Sure, and there's a lot of people that'll come hit it on, you hear the pop, and you realize, oh, I made a mistake, I did something wrong. They turn it off. They didn't realize that little spark is still smoldering somewhere. And then, a couple seconds, minutes, hours down the road, all of a sudden, they got a fire.
Problem, exactly.
Okay, so give me the little experiment here. What are we looking at?
We're looking at frayed wires on Larry the Bowler here, and we're going to turn on the breaker, and voila.
I'm excited about this. This is my kind of stuff. All right, Larry, go ahead and throw that switch over there. And, of course, a pop. And I didn't think it worked. He is lit.
He's lit.
All right.
Stamp him out.
Well, yeah, stomp that sucker out. So it was shocking to me, too, because it took a minute before I even saw the flame, even though I heard the pop. But then there's the damage.
That's it.
All right. Well, let's talk about appliances, because the girls in the house are always plugging way too many things into the outlets, and that's another major reason that the breakers start to blow.
Again, it depends on what you have. A way to find out what you have is turn off the breaker and see which outlets are off, and then you'll know exactly what you have plugged in. Then count your appliances, see which ones they are that are plugged in there, and you'll figure it out. How many amps do we have? Are we exceeding the limit? Because we're always popping the breaker, and figure out maybe I can plug it into a different outlet that isn't on that same breaker.
Got it. Okay, so we're going to set this up. We're going to have someone inside, then turn on one, then turn on the second. But we're going to go out to the box right now and start looking at how many amps that's pulling and why it blows.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, let's head out and do it. I'll follow you. Okay, Larry, so we're looking at the box now, and we can actually see that there's a trip breaker from what we just blew up.
I get this call a lot. What happens is they try to reset it themselves. They go, hey, I got a broken breaker. I don't know what to do. So what you do is you properly turn it completely off and then on.
And now we're back live on that circuit.
You're back live on that circuit.
Okay, so we've got one hairdryer going inside, so we can see we're at, what is that, 11?
11.2 amps, okay? And we have on a 15 amp breaker. Okay, Javier, let's turn on that other hairdryer.
Okay, so now once you throw the second,
look at that. We're at 23.4 amps, okay? Now 23.4 amps, these circuits are designed for 15 amps. What's going to happen is that wire is going to heat up, and eventually it's going to trip that breaker.
Okay, so as soon as it starts drawing too much, there is a little bit of leeway where it says, you know what, I can kind of handle this for a bit, and then as everything expands.
And then as it goes, it's going to trip.
Okay, now you have this happen all the time, and people call you up, then they're a mess, they can't reset the thing, so you can walk them through the process, get them established, and also tell them which circuits to start using in different rooms of the house to make it do what it's supposed to do.
Exactly.
Okay, now you particularly specialize in residential.
Specialize in residential, yes. We take care of most of their problems, the small problems like breakers or ceiling fans, recessed lights. You hear that?
I can hear it going right now.
Okay, it's going to trip any second. There it goes.
So, and just from 2 hair dryers.
Just from 2 hair dryers. And you know, a lot of people don't only plug in hair dryers, they got curling irons. And in the wintertime, they put in those little space heaters in the same thing. And these are designed just for 15 amps. And that's a small gauge wire. You could hear that thing start to heat up, sizzle, bam. Right. But it's not a bad breaker. The breaker's actually doing the job that it's supposed to do because it wants to turn off the power so that the wire doesn't heat up and start a fire like we did earlier.
Okay. Larry, sure appreciate it. Thank you so much. Well, you're going to keep us safe.
Oh, you got that right.
All right. Give Larry a call, The Voltage Man. And again, the service will shock you. Don't go anywhere. There's more Valley Life coming up right after this.